Hey everyone, I'm Charting Man Dan with the Chart Guys. Euphoria continues in the markets as we rip to all-time highs with all major sectors hitting the high of the day at the same time. And we have GME giving us a break of the sideways beautiful pattern we highlighted over the weekend, favoring the bears as we are now through the shareholder meeting. We've got a lot to talk about. Let's get to the charts. All right, so we'll start with GME and then get into the broader market. So over the weekend, talked about the beautiful hourly equilibrium, very clear. And we had an initial bear break this morning with zero follow through, but then it followed through. And so we broke support initially by maybe 20 cents, 15-minute lower high, and then of course the shareholder meeting rolls around and the market used it as a sell the news event as we dropped significantly overall, down 12% on the day. And again, the most likely scenario on this daily chart that we've been talking about in the last few videos we've done for GME was a daily lower high compared to 48. And at first everybody said, no, that's not going to happen because he's going to exercise his options and that's going to lead to a short squeeze. He converted his options to common shares. People then moved on to, no, that's not going to happen because we're going to have big announcements at the shareholder meeting. Nothing comes out of the shareholder meeting. Stick to the charts in the most likely scenario. Protect yourself in case the less likely scenario happens and have a game plan for it. But here's the most likely scenario playing out. So now the question is the mindset for investors or traders or whoever is, now what? He's got his full position, roaring kitty. We don't have any announcements in the short term. So now we're just waiting to hear what are we going to do with this $3 billion or whatever it is in cash. Maybe we find out in a week. Maybe we find out in 3 months. And there's no short-term catalyst right now. So if the bulls are going to do anything, they've got to hold 22.79 and break 33.70. The simple statement is with our new resistance, 30.66, the simple statement is if 30.66 is resistance, the bears have full control of the daily chart. So we have to break these lower highs. We topped out, lower high, and now another lower high. The question is, do we drop to a lower low? And so 22.79 is the most important support for the rest of the week from here. I am all cash at this point. Made a little bit of a bull attempt. Stopped out with a tiny loss on that bear break. But again, just being real cautious. Still going to look for a weekly high or low compared to 1770, but no sign of it at the moment. Broader market, absolute beast mode for the bulls. Inside bar bull break, raging bull market. The futures chart for the S&P 500, look at the hourly. Bulls are just playing the back burner game. Hourly oversold, hourly oversold, hourly oversold. Every single one of the last 3 that we've seen in the last week plus has been the time to buy the market. The market is aggressively buying short-term oversold conditions. Bears are not sneaky. Do not try and nail the tops. I keep repeating myself in these videos because the message is the same. We will see the bears when they show up. And of course, don't try and nail the tops. I'm going to talk about my NVDA short today, but keep in mind, I'm a professional trader. And for me, I got all long positions. And so I do make some bear attempts every now and again. But what we have is all major sectors hitting the high of the day at the same time today. I posted at just after noon that happened. 12:24 is I think when I made that post. XLF, XLV, QQQ all hit the high of the day at the same time. Write this down. If you want to save yourself money in markets, this is something that I've been observing for many years. And if all of those sectors are hitting the high of the day at the same time, which happened here, do not short that day. If all of those sectors are hitting the low of the day at the same time, do not long that day. I promise that will save you money. The bears will not go anywhere unless all major sectors are hitting the low of the day at the same time. And so if that, again, that's my hedge signal. When that happens, I grab some short positions and I stick a stop over the high, whatever it is at that point, to protect my long-only portfolio. And I did that. Forget when I did that last, but I stopped out. Take a little bit of profit, stop out, small red on your hedge, rest of the portfolio goes green. No big deal. That's the way to do it. One thing to note, it's going to be a long video. So again, I talked recently about a YouTube channel. I don't like calling people out by name. Anyways, someone I respect and has been making videos a long time. They said they went 90% cash a couple weeks ago. Into this pullback. They went 90% cash because of the signals that they were seeing. And that's fine, but what I really dislike about that play is you have no invalidation point to change. If I try and short something and I'm wrong, I stop out and then I can look long. But if you're selling your long-term portfolio into strength, you're invalid. I mean, maybe his invalidation point is if we're 5% higher, you can't re-enter 5% higher from here. Then you're buying into bubble euphoria. So I just don't like that he's now handcuffed on the sidelines and there's no re-entering unless he's right. And at this point, he's wrong. And, that can obviously change very quickly. But I just really dislike how it completely handcuffs you if you do that. I would much rather see a signal from the bears where they prove something with relation to price and then look to exit into that. Or the hedge game. If he entered hedge, covering 90% of his portfolio, could stop at his hedge when we see continuation and still have all his long positions. Anyways, looking at the NASDAQ, again, this is a melt up. The NASDAQ is up 89% in the last 18 months. So, granted, I'm cherry picking the low of monthly consolidation, but that is 9 years worth of gains in 18 months. We are approaching, and as I've said in many videos and Twitter posts, if we keep running in this melt-up mode through the summer, which is what it's pointing to right now, this is where I have my dad exiting his positions that he's been holding for decades because he's in his mid-70s, and I do believe that we are heading towards a major blow-off top at some point. I'm not going to try and nail the top. I'm not going to try and... I don't know what else I was going to say. I'm not going to try and nail it. I'm riding the trends until we get the signals things are changing. You want to be simple about it. Absolutely nothing changes until we confirm a daily downtrend. Absolutely nothing changes until we lose the weekly higher lows. It's just been V-shape off the end of last year, monthly bull flag, weekly bull flag, and then multiple daily bull flags. And it is absolute massive euphoria. And it will end with a hard pullback of 30% plus, in my opinion. Let's just see what that would look like right now in the NASDAQ. Probably not even that insane. Yeah, a 30% retracement, and we don't even get back half the move from the 2022 lows. Or a 30% pullback, I should say. So again, enjoy it while it lasts. Buy the dips as long as they keep working. This is where back burners were born. SMH, bulls continue. New all-time highs, just ripping higher. Relative weakness in NVDA today. So NVDA, and I talked about, again, follow us on Twitter if you're not. I post the week ahead video. I talked about my game plan for NVDA, and it was just the same thing that we've seen. The patterns happen in the markets, and NVDA today had its fourth gap up open in a row. Very small gaps, absolutely. When's the last time we had 4 gap ups in a row? Right here. Gap up, red day, couple days of pullback. Granted, we see continuation, but it's the same setup. Gap up, just barely. I shorted it at 932 in short. Exited a bit more into the end of the day. Now I got a swing position. This is now a risk-free. Granted, we could gap up big. My break-even's above 135 at this point. So it's not risk-free, but it's very low risk unless we get a big gap up. A bearish position looking for daily consolidation. On the bounce, NVDA appears to just be sitting sideways, waiting for an hourly lower high when QQQ sees 15-minute consolidation. There was no sign of it at that point. Here's the sideways, just waiting for QQQ to roll over. We roll over at the end of the day. The hourly lower high is set, and the position that I'm swinging is now, can the bears confirm the hourly downtrend and start daily consolidation? My target from the get-go was hourly oversold conditions to look to exit this short. And so maybe I stop out, maybe it follows through, but took enough profit to be in full control of the trade at this point. And after hours right now, just making note, talking about rotation, QQQ drops a bit after hours. XLF is over the high of the day after hours. That's exactly what bulls want to see. I've been talking about it for a while. I am watching for rotation from semis into XLF and IWM. And I've made a couple attempts here and there, small stop outs on IWM, but I'm back in again on today's action. Talk about that in just a moment. But NVDA, I'm looking for daily consolidation to hourly oversold. Where we go from there, who knows, but that's what I'm looking for in the short term. Tesla, monster recovery. Held the low of Friday by 8 pennies. V-shape. Back test and hold. Daily higher low set now. 176.92. Back test and hold at EMA 12. And this is one I did not get a piece of today as I was focused on other things, but definitely interested. Again, we just confirmed the first weekly uptrend of the year in Tesla, pulled back, but this is the bull saying, let's go 200 plus. Whether we get there or not, in my opinion, again, I've been talking about, I have had less of a good read on Tesla this year than in the last bunch of years because its correlation with the NASDAQ has changed. And I'm kind of thrown off by that and saying, well, what are we correlating to? Oftentimes we're going inverse to the NASDAQ. And so I don't have a good answer. And so that's just making me a little bit less confident in my Tesla trading because things are changing this year very clearly from my observation. So I'm definitely watching, can we break 190, 108 and then get over 200 to try and set this 3-month higher low? I've been talking about this for 6 months at this point, this equilibrium. I'm watching for that to shape up. So I am interested in Tesla. I'd like to scout an hourly higher low. Maybe we get it tomorrow. In an ideal world, I'd like to see a cup and handle here. Give me an hourly bull flag. But a little bit patient. If I miss the move, so what? That's the way it goes, but I'd like to have a position for it. Tesla today is, look at these. Why do I use EMA 12? It's just so beautiful. Look at this example. Fractals of time frames. Here's the 2-minute EMA 12 on the morning. And I make a statement. Bulls have absolute control, nothing to worry about as long as 2-minute EMA 12 is support. When it is lost, we keep an eye for 15-minute consolidation. We hold it 10 times or whatever. We lose it. Okay, you lose it. What do? Zoom out. We can go to the 5-minute from there, 2 to 5-minute. Let's go to the 5-minute. What happens on the 5-minute? Big lines. On the 5-minute, we hold 5-minute EMA 12. Test and hold, new high of the day. We lose it. Zoom out. Go to the 15-minute. 15-minute EMA 12. Test and hold, test and hold, test and hold, test and hold. It's just so beautiful. One time frame to the next. We know how the different time frames and trends relate to each other. It's the same thing with the EMA. You lose it on one time frame, you zoom out, and you watch it on the other. And that would be one that goes in the textbook. As far as an EMA rider, you lose it, you ride the next time frame. Healthcare, sideways the last 3 days, not much going on. Bulls definitely want to head to all-time highs. That's something that we would, again, you keep hearing about breadth, and rightfully so in the market, because it is, a handful of names, very concentrated, ripping the market right now. And maybe that's what's going to help us see an unprecedented melt up. Who knows? But XL, if you want breadth to increase, you want rotation into XLF, XLV, IWM. And we'll see if we get it. IW or XLF, big bull day today. Bulls need to regain the daily uptrend, trying to set a weekly higher low compared to 39.53. And IWM. So I'm watching this IWM downtrending support, each bear break lacking follow through. It's not exactly a falling wedge because the range is not constricting. Every gap up that we have has been a sell signal. Gap up to sell, gap up to sell, gap up to sell. So if I'm a bull, I don't want gap ups. But what I want to see is 50% plus bounce retracement and confirming a daily uptrend to set the weekly higher low. As we know, a weekly higher low is the most likely scenario within this tightening range and equilibrium. So I entered later morning today into TNA, which is the leveraged version. Got some nice profit cushion at this point. We'll see how that plays out. Coin, double bottom at support. My stop is a bit under this level with a little wiggle room because we know how stops love to, or supports and resistances love to break right before reversals. But in this instance, we held it by a few pennies. Solid bounce. We must confirm the hourly uptrend tomorrow. Bitcoin definitely benefited from NASDAQ strength at noon Eastern is when it kicked into gear. And we then have to be cautious of coin being a daily head and shoulders. That is a possibility. So I'm leaving my stop where it is. And we'll see if we roll over. Other crypto stocks, CLSK, big day today. Quick daily higher low. Look at this weekly chart. Tightening range. Again, if the market stays strong, scout the laggards. And anything under 2015 is a weekly lower high, but bulls are heading up to that resistance level. And again, we know Bitcoin is weaker than the broader market overall, but we are looking for a weekly higher low to be the most likely scenario. And so just keeping that in the back of my mind as well. MSOS, getting the daily bounce going. Still very weak overall. Anything under 793, just a daily lower high. But again, as I talked about in the weekend video, this was a reloading point for me to grab back some position, do a little maneuvering into the short-term bounces to position low risk, and try and let a bounce play out on the weekly. In my opinion, today's strength was directly related to IWM. The bulls showed up at 12:30. IWM, the bulls showed up with a new high of the day at 12:25. So it was, for me, again, just whenever I'm giving my observations with correlations, just keep in mind that I watch this 8 hours straight. I'm watching Bitcoin and QQQ trading side by side. I'm watching IWM and the cannabis sector trading side by side. And it looked to me like IWM strength benefited the sector. And so what we now need to see on MSOS is a confirmed hourly uptrend. That has not happened yet. We hit a fresh low with no follow through. I made an observation in the chat room today. This was high volume. When you're trading sideways like that, you expect very low volume. Look at the volume here. We have the highest 5-minute volume candles of the day, 3 of them in sideways consolidation. That is unusual. Volume precedes price. So that was a little bit of a clue. Hey, keep an eye out because something unusual. This is not your standard sideways boring cannabis trade. So now what? We need the hourly uptrend to confirm tomorrow. We need to head back up towards $8, but nothing's going to change bigger picture unless we get a couple days of bounce follow through and then confirm a daily uptrend. So I'm certainly not holding my breath that this is a long-term bottom or anything, but what I do is position where it's a possibility, and if it happens, I benefit, and if it doesn't happen, I stop out break even or with a tiny loss. That's the definition of small risk, high reward, and how we look to approach markets. Dollar, still watching for a weekly lower high to try and shape up, knowing we must confirm a weekly downtrend to set the monthly lower high within this equilibrium. We broke the low of last month by a couple pennies. That's not good enough. We do need another leg down. Broader market doesn't need the dollar weak, but metals want to see it and crypto wants to see it. Gold today, nothing going on. I'm watching this channel on the 12-hour for gold, but I like it better on silver. Silver, a bit of a 12-hour falling wedge trying to shape up. Looking for a weekly higher low is the most likely scenario with EMA 12, which held the last test, trying to hold again. What did miners do today? I wasn't even watching them. Nothing. That's surprising. Would have thought they would have had a stronger day with the market so strong. Oil, still all bulls. Weekly resistance of 80.62 coming into play, and we know bigger picture. We're looking for the monthly equilibrium, and the bulls are hoping this is the monthly higher low. We will eventually have to confirm a weekly uptrend whenever that takes shape. But maybe an inverse head and shoulders if we were to top out near 80.62. But again, monthly equilibrium is the premise of all analysis. And we'll see if that shapes up as what the bulls are hoping for. Natural gas. Keeping an eye here. The natural gas bulls are trying to confirm the first weekly uptrend in years. Look at these EMAs trying to shape up a bull cross for the first time in years. Inside info. I filled up my tank today for my hot water heater. It was a lot of money. But I'm just treating this like an equilibrium. It's $1,500. Higher low, lower high. Scouting the higher low compared to 2518. This tightening range must break bull. I don't know if I'll trade it. Natural gas is one of my worst trading tickers. So I'm certainly not in any rush to trade it. But keeping an eye. All right. Keep an eye on for rotation. We'll see if semiconductors consolidate. If they do, does money leave the market or does money go elsewhere? That is the number one question for the rest of June. Hope you're well. Do good things. See you soon.